What's up guys, it's BeamNG-FUN here, and in today's tips and tricks video we're actually going to build on yesterday's tips and trick video. If you saw yesterday's video, you know that we talked about moving objects around the map. In particular, we talked about how we can move a vehicle onto a flatbed trailer. So we did that using the world editor. Now today we're gonna use the world editor again to move some objects and manipulate some objects on the map. What we're gonna do in this case is we're gonna get a nice scene set up by moving some objects around and setting them up on the map. I think in this case what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a roadblock scenario. I'm going to have maybe a police car as well as a concrete barrier, and maybe we'll throw a crash test dummy in there as well for us to crash into. Okay, so to do that we are going to be using the world editor, but first thing we want to do is we want to first spawn in the vehicle that we want to use to crash into the roadblock. So in this case I'm just going to use the default pickup truck. Now what you'll want to do first is you'll want to recover the vehicle once it's in the position that you want it to start from. So in this case I'm going to say this is an okay position to start the vehicle from. Now in my case the recover vehicle is actually mapped to the PlayStation controller that I'm using, which I'll talk about in a future video how I'm using the PlayStation controller. But I did check the default mapping and it looks like the insert key will recover the vehicle for you. So I'm going to go ahead and press that. And the reason we do that is that's going to set the spawn point and where our vehicle is going to start off. Okay, so by doing that, if I were to drive away, I'll just move the vehicle a little bit. And if I were to now press the R key, which is retry scenario, that's actually going to move the vehicle back to where I started. So this is handy for after you do your crash and after you set up your stuff and you want to get back to where you first started. That'll give you that nice spawn point where it's just a matter of pressing the R key to put you back where you started. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drive now to where I want to create the roadblock. Now you can also use Shift and C to move the camera around yourself. But in this case, just for simplicity purposes, I'm just going to drive to where I want it to be. Okay, so now we're going to spawn in the objects that we want. So I'm going to press Control E on my keyboard, and let's start off by adding the police vehicle in. So I'm going to do spawn new, so that way it doesn't replace my vehicle that I want to crash into the roadblock. Okay. So now it's just a matter of, in this case, I'm going to actually just position the police vehicle because I'm able to drive it in the location that I want. And just like I did with the vehicle that I want to crash into the roadblock, I'm going to press the insert key, which is mapped to recover vehicle. And that's just going to place it for me and give me that spawn point. Now you see there it kind of did it a little crooked, so let me just give it another try here. Okay, I'm going to place it right here. I'm going to press insert, and you can see it's given me a spawn point in a nice location, just like how I wanted it. Just like with the vehicle that we're going to drive into it, after we do the crash, if we want to put everything back to where we started, it's just a matter of pressing the R key, and it'll return the vehicle to that spot. Okay, and actually what I can do now, because we don't need the vehicle that we're going to crash, I'm going to press the tab key, and I'm going to press the R key to put this vehicle back as well. Okay, I'm going to press tab one more time to go back to the police vehicle, and now we'll spawn in the roadblock. So I'm going to go down to the concrete barrier here, select that, and once again, of course, spawn new. Okay. Now with these objects, it's a little bit different because we don't have the ability, obviously, to drive them around. So this is where we're going to use the world editor to reposition it. So I'm going to press F11 on my keyboard to open the world editor. Okay, and just like in yesterday's video, if you look in the top right hand corner, you'll have the mission group here. If you go ahead and expand that and scroll all the way to the bottom, you're going to see three BeamNG icons, logos, and each one of these represents one of the objects you've placed on the map. So the player is the vehicle that we spawned in at first. Clone 1, you can see the police vehicles highlighted. And clone 2 is going to be our concrete barrier. Okay, so now it's just a matter of left clicking on the arrows to reposition it. And I'm going to left click on the green arrow, drag it forward. I'm going to left click on the red arrow and move it right in front. Now if we need to move the camera, you can always right click on the screen there and move your mouse around. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. So I'm going to hit the play button. That'll take us back to the game mode, and I'm going to spawn in the crash test dummy. So again, Control E on the keyboard. Select the crash test dummy, spawn it in new. Okay, and I'm going to press F11. You'll see now on the right hand side we now have clone 3 for the crash test dummy. Now I mentioned in yesterday's video, as we're moving things around, the physics are actually still working, which means things will move around with you as you move them. So a lot of times I find as I'm moving the crash test dummy, he might actually fall over. Oh, it looks like he's not going to fall in this video just because we are on a nice flat surface here, but let me just position him. Now if the crash test dummy were to fall, or if you were to try to move something in the air and you didn't want it to fall down, you can press the J key on your keyboard and that'll pause the physics. So you can see now I can actually lift him up, and as soon as I unpause, he's just going to fall back to the ground. Okay. Now one of the other options up here is we do have the option to rotate. It's up here in the top left hand corner. We're going to do rotate selection. I'm going to click on the blue circle there on the sphere, and I'm just going to drag the dummy around here. And then of course if we want to reposition, we can click on the move selection tool and just sort of reposition them where we want. So if we place them right there, we should get a good sandwich when we go to crash. I'm going to press the play key up in the top left hand corner. Okay, so now you can see we're back to game mode. And one thing I should mention is when you move these objects around in the world editor, once you're done moving them, it's actually going to set a spawn point for them, so you don't need to worry about pressing the insert key or doing a recover vehicle, because it'll set the spawn point for you. Okay, so you can see now our scene is all set. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tab back to our original vehicle, and you can see it's back in the spot where we originally set the spawn point. Let's try crashing into it and see what happens. There we go. Where's the dummy? There he is. So we got a nice dummy sandwich under there. And the reason I talk about the importance of the spawn points is now what you can do is you can press the R key. That'll move the crashing vehicle back to its original spot. You can then press the tab key and go to each vehicle and press R, or each object and press R. So now you'll see that you have a nice scene set up once again to crash into. And if we flip back to our vehicle, let's grab the ETKK series. Go ahead and spawn that in. Crash there. You can see the crash test dummy is pinned right under the concrete barrier, but again, to put it all back, you just press R and tab between each of the vehicles. Alright guys, so that's how you further kind of building on yesterday's video, how you can further manipulate objects in the map and put multiple objects in and set up some really nice scenarios. This is great for setting up things like roadblocks, as well as I use this method to set up my spike strip testing, and basically anything else you want to put in the map. You can move around vehicles as well and set spawn points and move them around the map too. So really it's up to you how you want to set it up, but hopefully this video kind of gives you the basics on how to do it. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave me a comment, and definitely subscribe if you're interested in my videos. I also do crash videos, and stay tuned tonight. I'll be creating some more crash videos. Alright, thanks guys.